These delicate red threads garnishing the surface of this milk are saffron, a spice used globally to turn common dishes into premium culinary experiences. But keeping even a small amount in your kitchen is a significant expense. To buy just a few grams of this spice, you might spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars. By weight, it is an agricultural commodity that often trades higher than gold. This creates a distinct economic mystery. In an era of genetically modified crops and hyper-efficient global supply chains, scarcity is usually something humans engineer away. If saffron comes from a simple plant, a logical observer might wonder why a corporation hasn't planted million-acre fields and used industrial machinery to produce it in bulk. The high cost is not a result of artificial markup. Saffron has a biological design that rejects modern automation at every stage of its production. The process begins with the Crocus sativus, the specific plant grown in these purple fields to produce the spice. This plant is sensitive to its environment. It demands a specific climate and has no tolerance for heavy summer rains or intense heat, which limits the global regions where it can survive. Even in ideal climates, the fields stay dormant for most of the year. The actual flowers only emerge for a narrow window of just a few weeks. A closer look at the center of these blooms reveals the source of the scarcity. Every single flower produces only 3 tiny red stigmas. The entire organism, the roots, the stem, and the petals, is cultivated and protected for a year to yield just those 3 threads. This 3-to-1 ratio is a biological limit on how much saffron the world can produce. When the blooming window opens, workers head into the fields at 4 a.m. to pick the flowers before the sun rises. This race is necessary because once the sun is up, the heat causes the flowers to open. This exposure to light and air immediately begins to degrade the quality of the stigmas. Harvesting machines cannot perform this task. The delicacy of the blooms requires a level of precision that only human hands can provide. In the processing area, the red threads are manually extracted from every individual flower, while the rest of the plant is discarded. The math behind this labor is clear when looking at a standard 1-kilogram jar of pure saffron. Reaching that weight requires up to 200,000 individually hand-picked and hand-peeled flowers. Every gram of saffron represents the cost of financing hundreds of thousands of these precise manual human movements. Even after the threads are separated, they are not ready for use. The raw stigmas still contain moisture that must be removed. The threads go through a drying phase, where temperatures are precisely controlled to develop the final aroma and color without scorching the material. As the water evaporates, the physical weight of the harvest drops, leaving only a fraction of the fresh weight behind. These shriveled, concentrated threads are the final product that arrives in kitchens. The process ends with only a small portion of the initial harvest. Millions of petals are discarded, and water weight is removed, leaving behind a dense concentration of labor. Every single batch faces a quality check. Saffron is graded based on the depth of its color, the strength of its aroma, and the length of the threads. Because these biological constraints are fixed, cheap saffron is almost always impossible. A low price point usually indicates the product is fake or has been mixed with fillers. The next time you see these crimson strands in a dish, consider the supply chain required to put them there. Saffron is an intersection of botanical laws, specific weather, and thousands of hours of manual work. It is not just an expensive spice, it is a physical record of human effort.